Let's do us reacting to that episode I suggested we should record.
We're not going to react to anything. It's just going to be me praising myself for the idea for 45 minutes. We'd never have had this conversation if I hadn't raised this point.
That was a good point that I didn't remember at all. And now I'm hearing it again and thinking like, wow, that was very insightful.
It does explain whenever I look into Banana's eyes during the recording, I just see like Wikipedia scrolling through his doom scrolling about Beaver Forge. What's it called?
Pigeon Forge. Beaver.
Come on down to Dollyland.
That's the one you forgot.
Dollywood. There we go. I'm better now.
Are you?
I'm okay.
But
Wait, that's a good point.
That reminds me.
Dollywood is a better name, isn't it? It's a much better name.
That's probably why they named it that. Instead of the stupid you said.
Dollyland.
Before we begin, the Gamers Advocate would like to remind you that any episode could contain game spoilers, so watch or listen with discretion. And now your hosts, AM Kom-less, Banana, and Legion. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to another episode of the Gamers Advocate podcast, joined with the bright and enhanced BananaHammockRepublic. He's got a ring light that went out, but actually it looks good on my end, so you're good.
Good.
And myself, Legion. And what we're going to be going over today is just some games we've been playing recently, and some of them are older games that we've talked about in the past, and some of them are more newer games. I tend to see what's out there, what can be playable. Some games I just won't play. There's a lot of games that are out there that I'll dabble in, I'll touch. I can't play them all, obviously. There's so many indie titles that are out there, but there's definitely a game or two that me and Banana have been playing. You mentioned a few before we started.
So one of the ones that I just kind of stumbled into in my Steam library, I've been going through and just looking at like games that I got in like a Humble Bundle or something I didn't even know about. It just came with something else I wanted to buy. And I found a game called Dracomaton, Dracomaton. It's this kind of simplistic little roguelite dungeon crawler, almost bullet hell kind of game. And I had a lot of fun going through playing through the game. It's pretty focused on like learning different forms that are available to you as like the player character, and each of those gives you a kind of different weapon, and it has a primary and secondary attack, and you kind of learn how to synergize each of those together. And then as you progress, you unlock kind of mod slots where you can put one of those forms and it gives you the passive benefit of that form. So there's some fun strategy to it, and there's also just some skill-based gameplay if you'd want to focus on that. But I had a lot of fun playing the game, going through, and there's little terminals where you can learn more lore going on in the game world. Kind of secrets and little passwords you can use to unlock additional stuff. It's I think a really well-made game in its category that I had never even heard of until like this past weekend. And I spent a good few hours just going through and playing, enjoying the game, and like not even worrying about the achievement hunt I was doing, just having fun with it.
Did you say it was like a roguelite?
Yeah, it's so every room is a little bit different. The enemies are kind of randomized. Your rewards at the end are randomized, and then what you get in the like you have a choice between two rooms that lead to different rewards. And you do that until you reach, the first boss, and then you'll start another kind of route and reach the second boss. And then you have the option to kind of end that run or to start over from the beginning on like what is essentially New Game Plus within the same run.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it before. What's the graphical presentation? Is it more like a pixel or?
It's not high-end graphics. It's not quite pixel art, but it's definitely like a little more sprite-like. It does seem, I've seen the credits, because you see the credits after every run. I've seen them quite a bit. They are it's a relatively small team, and I guess that probably means it's, you know, an independent development, but they did a really good job with it, in my opinion.
I don't know. This is not anything like what you just described, but for some reason it triggered something in my head. But that Strange Horticulture is free, and that's a really good one. That's a game that you need to look into.
It remind me, I need to go add that, because I got the update that there were 2 new additions. Oh, that's how that ended up. There were 2 new additions announced this week that I hadn't added because I got them at work or something. I couldn't add them on my phone. But yeah, I think that was one of the last ones that looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, I've played it before, the Strange Horticulture. It's really, there's a similar game that I was trying to bring up before when he made some kind of joke about, it was like, but it's a speakeasy detective game, and you're a bartender serving drinks, but you get to talk to all these people and you find out stuff. Strange Horticulture is in that same vein. A lot of people come visit you for the shop, and you kind of like make certain things and give them those things, and so you unlock other pieces of the story. It's pretty intricate. It's pretty neat.
I just pulled up the listing on Epic, where it's free right now. And for whatever reason, it triggered. Probably because there's a cat on the banner. It triggered a thought of Cats and the Other Lives, which I think is another kind of one of those like almost visual novel kind of games where it's mostly about dialogue and learning the story through interacting with the other characters in the game. But I've heard really good things about Cats and the Other Lives, but I haven't played it. And if this is along those same lines, I'm sure.
I don't know if it's the same one.
Story.
Yeah, there's one that I've played, and the setting is the UK Victorian age, and the cat is owner died, and apparently you as the cat go around listening to other people's conversations and this and that, and you kind of figure out some other mystery within the household involving your owner that passed, and they're kind of like a ghost now too.
I think that is Cats and the Other Lives.
Okay, yeah. So I have played that one a little bit, but haven't gotten too far into it. I would say I've gotten 2 hours into it, and I was just it's a lot of reading. A lot of reading. Definitely not streamer friendly. I mean, because you'd have to read the whole thing, keep up with what's going on, keep up with everything else that's going on in chat. It's not streamer friendly, but it's a good little cozy game. For me, I guess the most recent game I've been playing a lot of is Dune. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I'm saturated with the spice. But I made a 3-hour video that I released on my own channel, and that took me months of editing, recording, and mastering, and it's just and I thought I was going to have a nice little break from it, and then lo and behold, 2 days after I release it, they say Chapter 2 is coming out at September the 10th. I thought, well, maybe October or something. No, so we're recording this on the end of August, yeah, and I'm like, now I got to get my other character that I used to grind to find out what's going on in that story. So that way, when I record, it's a little bit more efficacious. You know, I'm not trying to like figure it out as I'm playing it, you know. Now I got to do it all over again. But so I'm not going to talk too much about Dune, but I'm really enjoying it. I mean, it's a great crafting survival game. There's a lot to do there. There's a lot to criticize for sure. I think there's a lot of things that they could add to it. And then I don't know if everybody would agree with the whole PvE with PvP. My kind of thing is like, yeah, you can have PvP, and they do have zones for that, but they don't really even make it PvP where it's faction based. So if it was like Harkonnen and like say Atreides really shouldn't be fighting other Atreides, even if they're in different guilds. But you can, and I think that's where some of the issues are lying, because it's like, well, there's not really a true PvP here because everybody's a tradies. Well, then go choose to be hardcore. You can actually betray your own house. That might be interesting. You'll make it, if you want PvP, then you'll explore that. But they didn't really do that. They just kind of like said everybody is free for all out there. You can actually end up hurting there's a friendly fire in it too. So, so it's truly free for all.
I don't need friendly fire in my games. My aim's bad enough.
I'm so petty because I have gone out to the deep
Another
desert.
reason I don't need friendly fire in my game.
Banana, you didn't cover me when I said he was on my 6, and here I'm going to shoot you and him. You're both
Exactly.
No, one time I went out to the deep desert, and there's these big spice blooms, and it's enough for a lot of people. But some guilds get very, very possessive, even if they can't harvest the whole thing. And I went down there, and I looked around, especially the big spice blooms. Usually, they're coveted. And I looked, and there was nobody there. I was one of the first ones there. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll go ahead and drop down and take a little bit. I grabbed maybe 3 little things of spice, and then somebody started shooting at me. And so I always carry a thumper on me. And you don't really need thumpers, really, unless just to mess with other people. And I thought, there's this big, huge spice field here, and they're not even going to let me have like a little bit. So I put that thumper down, and I got in my ship, and he had poor aim. He just could not get me. And I just kept rising vertically. And when you have rocket launcher, you're a little bit slower than everybody. So I didn't have any. I just had boosters. So I just climbed as high as I could. And usually anything above a certain amount, you're using more fuel. But I don't care. I'm trying to get away. So I climbed higher, and I think he thought I had some missiles that I was going to like shoot on him. So I kept like staying right on top of him to freak him out. Meanwhile, that thumper's down there. And then I'm just like escaping, going left and right. And then I finally just say, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to leave. And I see his whole fleet of his guild people bringing their carriers in. And I could see the worm in the distance there coming the other direction. And I just had to see what was going to happen. And sure enough, they start lowering all their stuff, and the worm is right there. And I could see them all kind of like trying to like bring the carrier back up. And I saw, get at least the one sandcrawler they had just put down, because I put the thumper there, like I said. So I'm so petty. I'm like, if I can't get this, nobody's going to get this. So that's been my experience in Dune.
I think that's one of those reasons why I'm not super invested in Dune to just get that additional pettiness in my life. I don't need that.
You need to log in, hang out with me for a little bit. I will help you through all that. Not a problem. Not a problem. And the other game I've been playing, you were mentioned before we started, was Wuchang. I've been playing a lot of Wuchang. I haven't finished it. It is a big game, a large game. So if you want bang for your buck, here's the thing. It's not a $50 game. I don't believe it's $50. I think it's $40. So it's a good price for what you get. It's maybe a 40-hour game, 35, depending on how good you are at the game. If you're like me, probably a 90-hour game.
Yeah, I was about to say. So like 100, 110.
There's a ton of content there, and so many bosses. It's very similar to Wuchang in the bosses. There's just so many of them. There's not a ton of enemies in between. You kind of go, it seems like you go boss battle, but there's clearly main bosses. And then there's many bosses that you clear that don't respawn after you've killed them. So they kind of litter the overland. They're not in a hidden area or something. And so with that game, what I like about it is that you can, if you go back to a shrine, you can redo that at any time.
Oh, that is nice.
And as you build up your weapon type, like longsword or the dual blades, it upgrades all of them. So if you put extra, +1 to your weapon type, it +1s all those weapons in that weapon type. And so there's some advantage of actually going outside of your tree, because I'd have to kind of show you what I mean, but in the tree of like the axe tree, the big long heavy axe, which is the big melee weapon, in the first bifurcation of the tree, you have plus strength of +5. Normally they're just +1 here and there. But you have +5 and +5 stamina, I think. So if you just go enough there, you start off with that no matter what other tree you go into. Just things like that aren't really meta builds. They're just things that you discover just by playing with everything. And you say, well, what if early on I want to go down more of a magic build? What would you do? And there's some actual passive traits that you can do with that. Just holding the blade in your hand in that type of tree will start earning you bonus magic. What they call your feathers. So those feathers are unlockable buffs or actions in the middle of combat or something. So as you do things like parry or dodge perfectly or whatever, you get a feather, and then you use that in that build, whatever you have, to activate that action. And just holding that sword over time regenerates your feathers. So you can just be running around waiting to get to the next fight and then have something ready to just go into it with. So it's pretty neat. There's a ton of like little nuanced things with the builds that you have in Wuchang that are really good. I think it's pretty tight. I didn't have any problems on the PC like everybody was having, but I am very aware of how virtual memory works in a lot of games. I did this probably because of, believe it or not, Planet Coaster. Planet Coaster taught me that I have to have a lot of virtual RAM. And I did have a lot of virtual RAM. The Windows default settings they kind of bottleneck you. You have to go into the virtual RAM and actually figure out mathematically what is ideal for you. And so I've done that for quite a while, and I did not have nearly the problems with Wuchang that a lot of people were saying. And sure enough, the patches that they had were addressing virtual RAM. So it was like, well, that makes sense why I didn't have any problems, because I unlocked mine. I didn't have any bottleneck issues. But then again, like I said, it did have some problems with PC. And should that be a problem? No, it shouldn't be, but it was. But I think most people now, if you go in, they've patched it enough to where it's highly playable. It's very balanced. The bosses, some of them are pushovers, but I think they're more for story content than anything else.
It was definitely one that was on my radar. It's one that I haven't had the opportunity to really take. I've heard some good things. I've heard the issues with the optimization and people struggling to get it to run, but it sounds like with this latest patch that will hopefully not be an issue for anybody moving forward. It's definitely one that I think I'm going to take a look at some point. Although I have been playing a good bit of Titan Quest 2 since that was released in early access, and I'm enjoying a lot of that. I think I'm really looking forward to when that opens up and we get the kind of cooperative effort available in that. But I'm really enjoying the kind of almost Diablo-esque combat and control scheme in that. And then the your ability to customize your character within multiple trees. So in Titan Quest 2, you have kind of 4 almost specializations that are presented to you. And in your first decision, you pick one of those 4 and you're like, all right, I'm going to be, a spellcaster. I'm going to focus on this kind of storm power where it's ice and lightning and all of these cool elemental effects. Or I'm going to be, a tank. I'm going to focus on melee. I'm going to get in there. And you think to yourself, like, all right, this is how I'm going to build. And then you get to that second time where they're like, all right, choose another one. And you're like, oh, this is interesting. I wasn't expecting to be able to choose 2 of these 4. How am I going to do this? Now I want to be like the spellcaster rogue. Do I want to be a spellcaster tank? Do I want to be a rogue tank? How do I build these together? And I'm having a lot of fun experimenting with the different combinations of those, experimenting with the different synergies that exist, because some of those, what you wouldn't really think of as obvious pairings actually work really, really well together. And I'm having a lot of fun playing through that game. It's loosely tied to the Greek mythology, which and I appreciate games tied to that. And it's just a fun, pretty solid, well-made game. Has that kind of a Diablo drop system with equipment, so you're always looking for the next best item that suits your build. And that's going to be taking up a lot of my time, I think. Kind of closer to its full release.
Yeah, I love the original Titan Quest. When that came around, that and Diablo 2, even now, I think they're my favorite ARPGs of all time, easily. Because I've shown Banana off screen. We have 4 in this early access, but there's actually like 12 that should be unlocked if they went with like the old Titan Quest, because you had 12 there. And originally I think it was like 8, and then they had like a DLC shortly after that or something that made it 12. And there's been several DLCs after that, but I don't think they've added to those base ones. But the thing is that it's not just within that talent or that spec, but you also have your baseline stats that you can buff differently. So like barrier, you can put points in barrier, and that can heal you when you turn the barrier on. And then if you don't want to do healing, you can make it a stronger barrier, and that's where you put your points in. And you don't even put any points into the actual spec build that you want. There's so many different ways of looking at the same problem.
Yep. Yeah, I as soon as I learned that I could devote some of those points to my dodge, oh man, that made the game so much better for me, because I was just like, I keep using my dodge to get out of combat, or like to get out of the area of effect of an attack, and then the cooldown is forever, so I get hit by like whatever follows that up. And yeah, no, you can invest some points into reducing the cooldown, so you don't have to worry about it. You can also increase the distance of your dash, or use it to teleport, so that there's not any kind of like risk of dodging directly into the next. There's a lot of customization.
And Banana is describing exactly how two people would look at that very differently. I don't dash. I'm fighting. I'm going in, and he's doing the souls dashing around things, and I just don't. It's like I want to like go right up toward it. So my barrier is what I put my points into.
Yeah. Well, so I was also like, my first character was primarily an archer.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
Having that distance where they can't hit me, but I can hit them, is ideal for that build. But yeah, I definitely understand that, like, sometimes you don't want to dodge. Sometimes you just want to take a hit to the face and hit them back way harder.
Yeah. I think in the original Titan Quest, if you're an archer, one of the really nice builds is like the nature build, because then you can have summon wolves. So you're kind of like a druid.
Yeah.
So you're an archer with this druid ability, and you have like this regenerative. So you cast regeneration on your wolves as they're fighting for you, and it just makes the field of battle so much more entertaining and fun. And especially like when you're in closed areas, like in the original Titan Quest, you had Egyptian areas too. So you went to these different mythos, and so you would go into a pyramid, and it's confined, it's closed spaces. So now you have all these exploding beetles and this and that going on, and it can get hectic if you're an archer. So if you have like something to kind of buffer your area, it was so much. Yep. To me, it worked so much better than Diablo. Diablo was more like, it's like, not only is it tight spaces, but you can't even move between you and co-op players. You get bottlenecked in there. Titan Quest did it much better, I think, and I'm looking forward to Titan Quest 2. And the music's been phenomenal in that game. It's so easy to sink into that game.
Yeah, there's really a lot about that game that deserves praise that we're probably not even gonna remember to discuss. But it's currently in early access. I would not be surprised if, as it gets closer to release, the price goes up, which is one of the reasons I definitely pulled the trigger when I did. Because I'm convinced that game will get more and more hype.
Yeah.
Release, so
I think it's $20, maybe $25 now, or maybe it was on sale for $20 from $25, and then they've already said that full release would be about $60. Yeah. So You like Titan Quest, you like ARPGs, give it a shot. They've said it on their thing. So I'm not saying anything out of turn. I just don't.
Oh yeah, and I honestly I don't disagree with that practice.
Yeah. So it's okay. So
it's 30 right now.
It's $29.99 right now, but I'm pretty sure I did buy it when there was some kind of sale, like 25% off as an introductory price. So it was not $30 when I got it. So
I think I also got it at some kind of discount because I don't think all I knew about Titan was what you had told me, and I don't think that would have been enough for me to just make a blind purchase at $30. But at like 22 or something, I'm sure that's where I ended up picking it up.
Like I said, to me, Diablo 2 and the original Titan Quest, neck and neck with my favorite ARPGs. I played a ton of Diablo 2. I was addicted to it. But then when Titan Quest came out, that's one of the few games that are like action based that my wife has played all the way through and loved every minute of it. It's a great game. A great game. And I thought, okay, so Titan Quest 2, what are they going to do different? What's going to be like, no, we're not going to do anything different. We're just going to modernize it, make it a little bit more interesting, make it a little bit more optimized. There's a lot of puzzles that you run into that I did not know the answer of how to do it right away, but I had to like follow the clues, and sure enough, I'm going to give a spoiler here. So there's a Hermes, there's a statue of Hermes, and he talks about like the mythos of Hermes and one of the things that he did when he was hunting, and it was a turtle that he hunted, and the indication, the clue is that you're supposed to sacrifice something there. Well, just outside of that temple area, there's all these turtles, and they attack you. You can like bait one in or whatever, and then it'll follow you. And then once you get close to the shrine, it'll kind of like turn kind of like a ring of gold or something. Then if you kill the turtle there, then you get the item or whatever it is. That's how you do it. And so it's not a matter of like fetch quests. It is kind of a fetch quest, but they don't tell you what you're fetching. They're not like, you have to read the clues. So I'm really interested in this quest design of what they're going to be doing. Because if it's anything like that, that's amazing.
That's one of those things that like I probably don't appreciate as much as I used to in older games, but now in modern games, I think I appreciate, because I feel like in modern games there's a lot of people have a lot of tendency to like race through them and not pay attention to the dialogue. I definitely have done that, especially on stream. Like if I'm reading a chat message on stream, I might be just hitting a button that advances dialogue on the actual game, and then I'll look back at the game and be like, what the fuck was I supposed to do? And I feel like it's infuriating in those moments where you don't know what to do to advance like the main story, where you get stuck. But if it's something like that, where it's like a game reward that you don't really need to progress, it's just you get the benefit of some bonus gear or something along those lines. That's a great way of encouraging your players to pay attention without like harshly punishing.
And also in the old Titan Quest, which is not in this one at the moment, the enemies that face you, if they have a unique weapon or armor, it doesn't even have to be super unique. They wear it when they're attacking you. Mm-hmm. So not like spiders or something, they can just drop whatever. But like, let's say you have like this human cultist that's fighting you, and he's got this really unique weapon that's firing these kind of like this unique spell at you. You kill him, that will drop for you. Really cool.
Yep, there's a lot of cool stuff in that game. So yeah, that's one of my recommendations for this year. If you're looking for a new adventure RPG kind of game, highly recommend Titan Quest 2, and picking it up early is going to be in your best interest to save some money.
They'll probably go on sale again. I don't imagine it'll go like 25, 30, 35, 40, something like that. Baldur's Gate 3 did that for me. When that day one when I got it, I know it wasn't $60 or whatever. It was like 45, maybe 40, something like that. And even then, people were like, "You're paying $40 for full access for rebel."
Yeah,
yeah, I did, and I got it $20 cheaper. I'll go with Tavern Legends. I've been playing. I fired up Tavern Legends now. Let me be clear. I don't have hours in Tavern Legends. I couldn't get that far. The game's not very optimized.
You don't have it yet, but you will.
I will put a lot of time into that game once it's a little bit better optimized. Then what you would get, like things that you would order, it would show up in a cart outside of your tavern, and that's not unusual. But then I couldn't get it off the cart. It's like inside of a box on top of a cart that I couldn't get on the cart for it to actually click on things. Things like that is what's going on in the game. So once they optimize this, be a little bit better. And I had to like basically jump around and get to a certain angle to where I could just get it to click. It's a small little window. And finally got it. And then I was able to like kind of start the bar. But it's been really humorous to play that game. There's a lot of there's like a mini puzzle just within the menu option. You have like these arrows, so you shoot at the menu that you want, like the settings, load game, new game, credits, whatever. So you can replenish your arrows because there's these chickens you can fire at. Now you get points for hitting the chickens. They just basically fall over for a little bit and then they get back up. So there's no permadeath for chickens. And you can pick them up in the middle of the street and kind of like toss them at people. So there's a lot of like interesting little humor associated with it. You can decorate the bar however you want to. So all the regular tavern physics are there. You have a place where you stay at, but you actually have to lock and unlock your tavern because you could get thieves. So there's a whole like tree going on with there's supposed to be some story related to things, but right now it's early access, so it's really hard to tell. But they've been working on it for a little while, so there's this whole roadmap for it. So I wasn't hopeful for this game before when I saw it about 8 months ago, but now that I've seen it and I've played it and I've seen the roadmap, I do see a path there for them to actually start integrating some stuff. If you want a true medieval type scene setting, like if you owned a tavern in Skyrim, this is
that's one that was not on my radar at all. So I'll have to take a look into that. Maybe I'll find out I already own it, but I doubt it. One of the like bundles I purchased for a long time ago when I was streaming more regularly, I purchased Dragon's Lair because I wanted to share that with my community, as you know, that game and what it was to play that game originally. And that I think came in a bundle of Dragon's Lair 2, and then there's a space one that I can't remember the Space Ace. I mean, they're all essentially that same game, the quick time event. And I played through Dragon's Lair on stream, and I played through Dragon's Lair 2 pretty recently. And I really enjoyed that. And what I appreciate most about those games is that when you get to that main menu and you look at the extras, there's a way to just watch the game, like watch somebody play through and enter all the appropriate commands to navigate through the story without you being responsible for that, because those games are really wonderful animations and they're a relatively short story, but it's when you're playing, you don't get to appreciate the animation at all. You are very focused on what do I need to do next and making sure that you're clicking on the right button as fast as you could possibly register that it is the right button. So I played through the game and I was like, I have no idea what happened. I'm going to go back to that main menu. I'm going to watch the cutscenes play out. And I love that feature. It just makes it so much more enjoyable. And it makes it possible to like really appreciate the game as a whole, because that game is most appreciated by people who aren't playing it.
But you did Dragon's Lair 2. How'd you find that compared to the first one?
So gameplay in Dragon's Lair 2 is almost exactly the same. I think it actually is the same 4 directional buttons and then an attack button. And you kind of you try to watch the scene play out, and depending on how you're playing, there's a mode where it will flash the direction that you need to move or the button you need to press. And then there's a mode where you don't get that hint, which is more consistent with the original arcade version of these games. And trying to evaluate that without the guidance is really challenging. It's a solid way to fail more often than, but I was doing my whole completionist thing. So I played the game with, by default, those hints are enabled. I played the game that way, learned, and then I went through and tried to do for the achievements playing the game without those enabled. And it's still pretty challenging. But Dragon's Lair 2 has this addition over Dragon's Lair. In certain scenes, there will be a collectible item that will pop up on screen, and it encourages you to, rather than using the correct button press to navigate to the next scene, you actually deviate and press the button in the direction of wherever that collectible is. And then you get this unique little cutscene where Dirk, the main character, grabs that little collectible and then moves on into the scene. And you can't complete Dragon's Lair 2 unless you collect a certain amount of them. You won't get into the final sequence of the game. You'll hit a little dialogue box that says, you haven't collected enough, start back at the beginning. And I think in the original version, the arcade version of Dragon's Lair 2, those collectibles were just bonuses. You didn't actually have to have them to get all the way through the game. But when they ported it to Steam, they were like, you might as well force people to get them, because there's no reason to get them to fail.
Each scene that you went to was randomized. So in other words, you weren't going from one hallway to directly the next hallway to this other hallway. Those 3 other hallways could be at any time, And so I guess it's possible to prevent the code from going straight to the final boss fight, maybe.
Well, so in Dragon's Lair 2, I think everything is sequential.
It is,
or at least
on
this, at least on the Steam version, which is what I've been playing. I know in Dragon's Lair 1 it was randomized, but in Dragon's Lair 2, every kind of set of scenes is themed. So you'll do I think there's one where you meet Eve in the Garden of Eden, and you'll do all the scenes in that, and then you'll move on to another one where you're time traveling and you meet Mozart, and then you navigate through that scene, and then you I forget what else there was in that one, but eventually you'll make your way through all of these scenes. But every one of those individual groups, the sequence is always the same. So you can memorize the up, down, right, whatever pattern, which is really good for those moments when you're okay, I'm just going to memorize the pattern, know exactly what I have to do. Whereas in the original Dragon's Lair, you had to memorize the scene and what you needed to do in the scene, and then react when that scene popped up, which made it way more challenging. But I think in Dragon's Lair 2, they took a little bit of, at least in the Steam version, it's entirely possible that the original release in arcades didn't have it sequential like that.
Yeah, because in the arcades, the original one, unless you were a millionaire, you pumped in so many quarters.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
Yep.
I mean...
I am sure they made quite a bit of money off that original release.
Yeah, because you had, like I said, the various scenes, you'd have a tile on the floor that it was colored. You had to jump a certain way. There's a Goblin King. There's these the pots or these spirits that can put you into their pots or coffins or something. But that doesn't mean you're going to go one ABC. It could be CBA. I mean, it's just, so again, you had to play it so much to even just know what the scene was and what to do. But yeah, so Dragon's Lair 2 is that's interesting. Interesting.
Yep. And I don't know anything about Space Ace other than it's the same style of game, so I'll have to check that one out. so I've mentioned that like I've been doing these kind of like smaller games that I a few hours. I think just because of like the time that I have to devote to these games now, I'm not looking for those games that require a significant investment, which is a shame because there are a lot of games in my library that fall into that category, and a lot of games that are really, really good that I've started and then I just get to that point where I'm like, I need a break from this, and then I come back from the break and I'm like, I'm not really feeling it now. So like I've played a pretty good bit into Clair Obscur, and I've really enjoyed the gameplay, but just continuing that game and like investing the time in it is something that has kind of deterred me from going back to it. But I really think that's a solid game. The gameplay is excellent. The music in that game is incredible. I am confident that soundtrack will win an award somewhere this year. But yeah, I was enjoying that. I just, because of like the availability of time that I haven't committed to that game as much as I really should.
I think Com will definitely say that Death Stranding and will win music and game of the year, but I'm thinking it's going to be Clair.
I don't know Death Stranding's music as well. The gameplay that I've seen definitely leads me to believe it will be in the consideration for, but I don't know about music. I that didn't stand out for me in the sections of gameplay that I've seen. At least not to the degree that Clair Obscur did. That music is a huge part of that game and really, really incredible.
Not played Death Stranding 2, obviously, but having seen quite a few games of it for research purposes, because I don't want to just let Com be the only person who knows anything about it. Just at least I know something about it. I know what like terms mean. I know where like the main characters are and things like that. For me, the game of the year before I played Clair was going to be the first Berserker Khazan. That is a great game. That is a phenomenal game. It was hot for a while when it first came out, but it's a good game. Play it. That's a good one. It's not like some of the other games that have come out recently that are more of that cell shading anime style. It's more of like a graphic novel type presentation. It's really good. And it's in the Souls camp, but it's like Wuchang in that it's very forgiving too. It lets you play with the builds that you want, and it's trying to tell a story. The most important thing here is the story. That's what I like. That's been my kind of understanding of what's going on with Khazan. It is almost Souls light rather than Souls like, and those are two terms that haven't been particularly well defined in my estimation. But the combat in Khazan seems to be similar, but not as unforgiving, not as demanding as Souls games. It seems like it's something that's a bit more flexible, that you can kind of play your style and still succeed. And that's another one I haven't played it myself, but I've watched a lot of Khazan, and I've heard some rave reviews from, like, they've played through all the Souls-like games, and they seem to really, really appreciate it. So. Yeah. And at first I thought, is this related to Berserk? Because there's a lot of similar imagery. It's not. But if you like Berserk, then you'll probably like Souls, because that's where Souls gets all of its inspiration from. But
there's quite a lot of overlap there.
It's like, if you don't know, I'm not saying anything that's like heresy or anything here, but FromSoft steals, they steal all their imagery from Berserk. I guarantee you. Radon looks like print. Oh, never mind. I'm not going down there. But yeah, I think the first Berserker Khazan was going to be my game of the year. Like it's so good. It's just so good. It's optimized. It looks great. It feels great. It's very responsive to the playing. The music is great. Story's really good. I'm like, what's not to like here? Then I played Clair, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna win. This one's gonna win. I still prefer Khazan over it personally, but I can recognize. And when I saw like gameplay of Death Stranding 2, I was like, man, this game looks amazing. I really like how the lighting is not overbloomed. It's good for the scene. When it's more of like an overcast, it looks overcast. I really liked how it felt from a presentation standpoint. But the other side of it is it's not just always presentation. So, but my understanding is that everybody that played the story really, really liked the story, and a lot of the quality of life features were carried over better from the first game. But there's still the monotony of traveling around and going from point A to point B. And
I feel like you're encouraged to do some backtracking in Clair, and I'm not a huge fan of the backtracking I've had to do in that game. And I guess the optional bosses, like the chromatic enemies that you can sporadically spread out through the world, they are confusing to me in the sense that I don't know when I'm supposed to challenge them. Like, I can't tell if this is a skill issue or if this is me challenging an enemy I have business in. Because the way Clair works is if you master that combat, you'll typically master it against specific enemies one at a time because you memorize their patterns and then move on. But if you do that, you can the difference between beating a boss and not getting hit at all versus beating a boss and getting a handful of hits is minor, but you have to invest quite a bit to get to that point. And I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to do against these enemies, if I'm supposed to fail a lot, or if I'm just supposed to
it varies.
come back later.
Yeah, it varies.
That's
some
that's
of
my
them,
RPG mind.
Yeah. Well, some of them even though I got good at parrying, I'm not still amazing at it, but I would prefer to parry versus dodge. The dodge window is much larger than the parry window. But there would be a chromatic boss that just does nothing but jumping. So all you have to do is dodge. And I'm and it took me forever to figure that, because you could get a stagger bar to come up, but then you couldn't do any damage to it once you had a chance to attack. I'm like, what am I doing?
Oh yeah,
wrong
I do.
here?
That's another thing that I appreciate about the game is when you start off, it's dodge or parry, and they are both essentially the same response. It's just, with parry, you have a tighter window. And then after a bit, they introduce that jump mechanic, and they're like, all right, we're going to add a new attack that you have a new way of dodging, and it's going to look like this, and you're going to need to integrate that into your reaction. So you're not just trying to time the dodge or parry. Now you're trying to evaluate whether or not this is an attack to be jumped. And then if it is one that has to be jumped, you will still have that counter opportunity where you just hit right trigger or whatever it is while you're in the air after dodging it. So I thought they did a pretty good job of it almost felt like combat was a little too simple up until that point.
Yeah, and of course you have all the, what are they called?
Yeah. Also, I do like that
Pictos.
Yeah, Pictos, and then I think once they're learned, there's something else. I do like that you learn them, and you learn them for the entire party, which is because I didn't get that the first time. I was like, oh, I'll have to learn these for each character, and I was constantly moving them around. And now it's telling me I learned it on all of the characters. I'm an idiot. But I do like that you can kind of customize each character for a specific focus in their combat with that, and especially when you have little bit of a spoiler. Eventually, you will learn, or you will gain more party members than you can play at any one. And so if your initial party fails, your remaining party will step in afterwards. You can kind of prioritize that character to use all of those abilities that are like when you're the only one fighting survivor, and they immediately trigger when they step in because everybody else is dead. I do like that they all exist in that kind of option to give you customization.
Yeah, there's a few times where you don't do that. There are rings where you do 1v1, and that's the challenge.
Yeah.
But or 1v3, but there's a specific, your friends don't get to help you if you go down, but it's designed that way.
Yeah, and those 1v1 arenas, those were really cool right up until one of the enemies I was up against faked a punch. That wasn't okay. Don't do that. He faked like he was going to hit me. I dodged, and when I came back into getting punched directly in the face, my character got one-shotted, and I was like, oh, all right. I have to learn this.
Yeah. They do a lot of like move sets that are like up, down. I don't like that. That you're defying gravity here at this point. That's not right.
Yeah.
We're not using magic in this situation.
I mean, there's definitely magic in that game.
But,
so like,
but to go up and down for no, just go up and down, or or do two stomps or something. I don't know.
You're like first companion in that game flies. Like, I get it. I'm okay with that. I just don't like that you're expecting me to know the difference between a fake attack and a real attack.
Like I said, so I tend to parry, so it tends to be like, because that window's shorter, believe it or not, in that scenario, I could probably get off a parry because, again, I do it fast enough, and I see that I can react again. Whereas a dodge, it's a longer move.
Mm-hmm.
It's a longer move set. So victory to parry.
If I'm doing like my initial fight against an enemy, or I'm trying to learn their patterns and stuff, I'll do the dodge just because it is more forgiving like that. And so I'll think like, oh, well, I should be dodging because I don't know what I'm up against. I don't know the timing. And then I'll get punched in the face and be like, well, there's no way I could have known the guy was horseshit.
And what I really also liked about Clair is the different environments you go to are different enough. Like, let's say you're in an underwater area versus an area where the lanterns are all up in a cavern. They have that similar feel, but they're clearly presenting a different environment. And what I would have appreciated a little bit more is why that scene exists. Like, why are we underwater? What's going on there? More immediacy. And the characters seem to treat it just like, oh well, and then they move on. Like, no, this is different.
Yeah, I assumed it was because of like the fact that I hadn't gotten very far in that game.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that I just think of as like, well, that wasn't explained at all.
Yeah,
so
and that kind of like leans heavily into the whole like, well, just trust us, bro. Like, it's there for it. I'm like, I from a lore standpoint need a reason why I'm here, and if you don't explain it right away, that's fine. But my character should be confused too.
Yeah, I felt like there's a lot in that game where like the characters are very accepting of what they're up against, and the only one who seems to have any questions or like want to dig into the reality of what's going on and like try to figure out what they're up against is what is her name?
Mayo?
Luna.
Okay. Yeah, Luna. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Luna's always whining now.
She has that like very analytical mindset throughout the entire game, and nobody else seems to adopt that same thing. And I'm like, yeah, no, you should all be like if I had to guess, and I don't, but if there was going to be one survivor from this story, I'm going to guess it's her, because she's the only one who's like, I need to learn how to survive. The rest of you are like, I'm probably going to die.
Yeah. I made a joke in one chat. I was like, oh yeah, if they ever announce another Expedition 34, and you'll understand why that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, that's not even the number it would get.
Exactly. Expedition 32. Oh, well then, okay, maybe. That's almost like a spoiler in the title, but yeah, okay.
I was going to make a little joke about like what I've been doing with my time outside of Clair Obscur, because I think we both just talked about how great a game Clair Obscur. It seems likely to win quite a few awards this year, and instead I've been playing a game called Ampersat, which is AMPERS @T, and it is it's like a dungeon crawler game based around the characters on a keyboard. So like you play through dungeons and unlock the next letter in the alphabet, and then you'll read messages and stuff like that as you unlock more. It's a simple, silly little game, but it was pretty well done. And I think that was another one that I just discovered on my PC or in my Steam library through like a Humble Bundle or something. But I was pretty happy with that.
Well, a little bit of history lesson here. One of the first, possibly the first horror game on a CRPG was I don't know how to pronounce the beginning part, but it's the Nostromo, and it is an alien-based game. And on the screen, it's an @ symbol. It just kind of like chases you. And you have to like go into like certain, and I think that was 1981 or 82. So it was like early in, and that's why I say it's the first one. And what's interesting is that the first 2 or 3 CRPGs came right about the same time. And then there was nothing after that for a long time. It just wasn't. And did you know also?
Probably not.
So when you said like there's like the ampers, whatever, I was like, well, yeah, it's probably an homage to the first horror game. But did you know that in the game show awards, there's no horror category?
I didn't notice that. Probably because horror is not, my genre, but like I've been listening back to some of the older episodes, and we were talking about like categories that we thought, belonged in the video game awards, and we were struggling to come up with them. But horror definitely feels like it deserves some recognition. Yeah.
It's only ever classified with soundtracks, best soundtrack of the year or best game of the year, but it doesn't have its own, like, they have best indie, they have best this and that. But as far as a category, there's no best horror game of the year. And there's so many, especially a lot of them are indie. So make it happen, Gamescom. Make a horror game category.
Yeah. We know you listen to us.
Yeah. If they did, then they would be far more successful than where they're at now. They're struggling.
Yeah. We know everything there is to know about being successful in the video game industry.
Yeah.
You should definitely listen to us.
So is there any game that you guys have been playing? Put it in the comments. Let us know, because we can't, obviously we can't play them all. And there's even some of the newer games that come out. I mean, we know about them, but we may not have actually touched them at all. Com has finished Death Stranding 2, so we can comment that he has finished that. So if you want to comment about that, then I'm pretty sure he'd love to reply to some of those. But yeah. Any games that you want us to like review or go over? Banana's still working on some BG3 guides, and tell them you're sick and tired of waiting for the next video. Just put it in the comments. So.
I had a friend reach out to me for one of the guides I've been working on, because she started a new character, and I went and loaded up my game, and it was like the save was right there, and I was like, I just need to put in the time to record it, do the editing, and then I can upload. But finding that time has been such a pain.
But yeah, tell us in the comments of any games that you want us to discuss, or games that you've been playing, and that way we can go over that. The chances are we have played some of the games if you listing them on there. Again, it's just we can't focus on every single one of them. But Yeah, I've still played.
Yeah,
I fired up Traveler's Rest the other day. So yeah.
I want to take a real quick moment to encourage the same thing, because I feel like we have some regular listeners and viewers on various platforms, and I feel like I have no idea. We've had some things that have gotten some good responses and favorable results on YouTube or Spotify, but comments are a much better way to give us feedback on what it is you want to see, you'd like us to discuss. And I'm very curious about like who listens, who's watching, and what their gaming interests are.
We hate the fact that you guys keep talking about Final Fantasy. Well, it's not going to stop these guys from talking about it, but at least we know that.
Too bad. I've only played like 40 games and 15 of them are Final Fantasy.
Yeah. So, yeah, at least it gives us a heads up of like who the audience that YouTube is reaching.
Yeah.
It keeps reaching the hates Final Fantasy audience, which doesn't make sense.
That's not the audience we need.
It's like, no wonder it's a slow climb.
Hates Mass Effect, hates Final Fantasy, hates Baldur's Gate.
And only loves Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will check you guys later. Bye-bye.